Standard 23A. I can describe the changing roles of women, children, and families in ancient Greece and Rome. So we're comparing and contrasting Greece and Rome here. So in Greece, we'll start with the families. So the family social structure was the same structure for most societies. So at the top, you've got the adult males, the men, who are considered citizens. They are allowed to vote and they hold almost exclusively all the power in society and in their families. Then we have the women and children who lacked any power, influence, and were considered unequal to free men. They were not citizens, they were not able to vote, and they had very little control over what went on around them. In regards to Spartan children, so in Sparta, which was a Greek polis, Spartan boys were sent off to military school at a young age. So they did not have a choice in this matter. In Sparta, if you were a young boy, you were sent off to the military to protect Greece. So that's basically the Greece structure, right? It relies very heavily on the family structure. Now let's look at Rome. So in Rome, the families, it was similar to Greece in that the eldest man had the power to rule the household. In Rome, this man was called the pater familias, which just means like the father of the house. And he made any decision for the household. The women in Rome were considered inferior and non-citizens in the Republic of Rome. However, after Rome became an empire, women gained many more rights, including property ownership and the right to have a job. Roman society was divided into patricians, which is the wealthy aristocracy, so at the top, and the plebeians, who were the farmers and the artisans, or the commoners, who were more in the lower class. In both Greece and Rome, slaves were considered the bottom of both social structures. So let's look at an example of how this standard might appear on a test. So at the top we see a box, and it looks like it's comparing and contrasting two concepts. So on the left we see when Rome was a republic. It says women were not citizens of Rome. Roman men believed a woman had to be under the protection of a guardian, such as her father or husband. Women were thought to be incapable of directing their own activities. So that's in the Republic. Now let's look on the right. It says when Rome was an empire. Although still under the guardianship of a man, women could own property, run a business, free slaves, make wills, leaving property to whoever they wished, inherit wealth, and hold a job. So that's in the empire. You can see how different things were for women in the Republic versus in the empire. So the question is, what conclusion can be drawn from this comparison above? So what do you think the answer is? Let's take a look at them together. So A, Roman women could move freely from one social class to another. Now that's kind of an overarching sort of assumption there, and that doesn't sound like anything that we talked about, right? Women had their place in society, they couldn't move around freely. Let's look at B. The rights of Roman women declined under the Roman Empire. Okay, so now we're comparing. Well, from what we read, it sounded like the Republic was much worse off for women. They were not citizens. They were not believed to be capable of anything. Versus in the Empire, where they were actually able to own property and to hold a job. So I wouldn't say that their situation declined in the Empire. So let's look at C. Women and men enjoyed equal rights by the time Rome became an empire. Okay, well, we know that their rights did increase, but they were definitely not equal to men, like we see in that paragraph in the top right, when Rome was an empire, it said that women were still under the guardianship of men. They still weren't trusted to be on their own, even though they had some more rights than they did before. So let's look at D. Although the rights of Roman women grew, they still lacked basic individual rights. So that kind of hits both key points here. So when Rome became an empire over time, women did gain rights. However, they still lacked basic individual rights. So the correct answer in this question would be D.